and welcome to Let's Talk Diz, a show that gives you everything you need to know to help make your Disney vacation as magical as can be in just about 20 minutes. I'm your host, Jeff Coviello. With me each week is Disney Master Sandy from Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services. Sandy, how you doing this week?
I am doing great. I am ready to jump in. I will admit that tonight's episode took a lot more prep than me for usual. There were even some things that I will admit I wasn't the master of before we got going.
Well, that's because, let's be fair, things change. Things change all the time. So tonight is not exactly my cup of tea, even though that I know it is a necessary evil. It's at some aspect of traveling. Tonight, we're going to talk about unlocking all the features in the My Disney Experience app.
And there's a lot there. There's some of it that I kind of looked at as I was pushing every button and going all the way through saying, who decided we needed to list things like where I can go to buy a cake?
Yes. Yes.
You know, there's some interesting ones in here, but there's a lot of good information that I think people don't ever get to. Some of it definitely doesn't apply to everybody, but maybe you're looking for a first aid station, or you've got a kid who's a huge Press Penny fan and you didn't, print out all kinds of things, and there's only so many people you want to stop. There's a lot of great info embedded way deep into the app. So tonight we're going to break it all down.
Well, and let's be fair, most people that are traveling there that are not as frequent of travelers to Walt Disney World as somebody like you or I, this becomes a very much a part of how they navigate their day. It's not to say that people like you and I don't use it, because we do. We use it a lot. But for somebody who is not there and doesn't know the ins and outs of everything like that, sometimes this is kind of like a life preserver for them. It's a life jacket for them, right? It gets them through the difficult times. If they don't have a Disney master to call on, which is silly, you should. But if you don't have that, then sometimes this works. So let's start with in the beginning, right? Setting up an account. If you don't have one set up, what's the process? What should you do? How many should you have if you're traveling with 3 or 4 or 5 people? Hit us up.
I'm going to give you my number one tip on setting up your account, and I'm going to give you the why behind it.
Okay.
And it is that I suggest one account per family if you're doing Walt Disney World. Different story, again, if you're doing cruise, but tonight we're focusing on Walt Disney World and Disneyland. And if you've played around in the app at all, you can see everybody can have their own app, and you can friend request the world. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you that the accounts that have experienced some minor glitches, because let's be honest, Disney IT is not always cream of the crop.
Sure.
But one of the top things that I find is accounts that have glitches are connected to too many people. And that number is a mystery, what too many is. But Disney encourages you all to have your own account because they want to be able to market all of you. I encourage you, your family of 4 or 5 or 6 can all be logged in at the same time, all in the same login account. And so there's less chance of anything going wrong. You're all seeing the same things. Yes, one person can be doing a virtual queue while somebody else is doing Genie and somebody else is ordering breakfast, even though it's all the same account and the same login. But we all know that Disney is a huge conglomerate of companies, and they want everybody in your family to have an account, because when you click that little button that says, yes, I'd like future information, it's not just on Walt Disney World. It's on ABC and Dancing with the Stars and Disney Digital and Disney Gaming and Disney on Broadway and Golden Oaks and all these things. And you're like, oh man, this is way too many emails. And you go to the bottom and you hit that one little unsubscribe button. If your house only has one account, guess what? They've lost you for marketing purposes on all of their auxiliary companies. But if everybody still has an account, just because one person doesn't want to hear about things coming on ABC, they're still getting info to your household. So again, they're going to tell you one account, one account per person. I'm going to tell you one account per family will make your life so much easier.
Well, it's streamlining, right? Just there's one place to go. So, okay, so we've got the account. I know the things that I use it for, right? And I know that I'm not the normal traveling party to Walt Disney World because of the amount of times that we're there per year. So let's talk about the basics that are within the app that are helpful for people as they navigate their vacations.
I think people tend to find 4 things, and we're going to go into detail on the ones that you don't all find. You find the wait times for rides, how to do virtual queue, how to do Genie, and how to do mobile order. Those are the things that you really need to make your day work. And those are the basics that everybody's getting through because you want to see all of those items. And again, keep in mind that while you can do the My Disney Experience app, you can also go to mydisneyexperience.com and know that the 2 things don't perform the same way.
Right.
There is functionality on the app that does not exist on the desktop. There's things that are on the desktop that are way easier to do because you have a real computer. So all the things we're going to talk about tonight are things that you're going to want to use in the app while you're traveling. And so my big tip is also play around in the app after you've listened to this episode. Do it not today if you're not traveling for 3 months, because as you said, Jeff, they make updates to the app regularly. So things will move around, but at least if you know something's in there, you can always use that magnifier at the bottom to find those extra things.
Well, I'm as we're recording, I have it open. I'm nowhere near Walt Disney World, but I have it open. And you mentioned a couple of things that are kind of right off the bat. And when you hit the home button on the app, you're looking at, the times the parks are open, and you can hit the map icon over there and find the wait times. You can see the virtual queues on the home screen. You can see all these things right as you are in the beginning of using the app. So I think the things that you're talking about in the beginning there, pretty easy to hit, right? As far as finding out your wait times, you hit the little map icon. It tells you where you are at. You figure out what park that you are interested in finding out. You can see a map for it, or you can see a list. There's a million different ways to do it. But what are the things that you, like, tips with inside of it that you have? Like, let's say somebody wants to go to a specific character meet. Like, that's not something you mentioned there. What's your tip for that inside the app?
So once you get into the map, which again, if you're looking at your app, as Jeff said, that home screen, there's that little house in the bottom left, and right next to it is that symbol for a map. When you click on the map, it defaults to showing you wait times either in the park you're in, or if you're nowhere near the parks, it's going to default to Magic Kingdom. The map view is great, but you can also use that to the right, that show list. It'll give things from low to high. But if you click on that button that says wait times, those are the buttons we're really going to start to look at, because you'll see the third one down are the characters. And it's going to give you every character that's available for a meet and greet today in Magic Kingdom. And when you press the button on the character, if they are not there all the time, it's going to give you the specifics. So for instance, if you're looking at Princess Fairy Tale Hall, the characters are there all day long. So they're going to give that big time range. But when you're looking at characters that appear like where Moana meet is, where she comes for 20 minutes and then leaves for half an hour and comes back, they're going to list all of those times. And if you are just, my child, I don't care where I go today, my child has to see Moana or whatever the character is, you can see it for all the parks. But you can also use the button on the left, and it allows you to filter by park so that you just see Magic Kingdom or just see Epcot. So if your schedule is set and you don't want to offer your child something that's not out for the day, it's not going to work until each morning. You can't look at it at 11 o'clock tonight for tomorrow. But 6 o'clock in the morning, you can go in, select Epcot, and see all the character options that are going to be available today in Epcot. So again, I love that character option. Under that is entertainment. That's going to give you any stage shows, any what we call streetmosphere or wandering entertainment, even in Epcot, that entertainment in each of the countries, as well as any fireworks. So especially in Epcot and especially in the holiday season, if you want to see those seasonal Santas or the different entertainment, again, you can see all the times they're there for the day. Because I will tell you, if you're very into those kinds of shows and entertainers, most of them are done somewhere between 4 and 5 at night. You won't find that streetmosphere into the evening generally.
And it's a helpful tool. I mean, I've done this 100 times, but as you're going through it, I'm navigating my way through it. So if you're interested in this and you're listening, you can rewind and open up your app and just kind of go through it, because everything you're saying is kind of spot on. One of the things that I think definitely kind of gets left out here, and if you're not overly familiar with the park, it's the type of thing that the map was always kind of the go-to on. What if you need a restroom? Right?
You know, there are more restrooms in Walt Disney World and Disneyland than any other place that I've been. And thankfully, they all have lots of stalls. So the good news is you don't wait for long in a restroom. Again, I'm in the park all the time. I know where they are. But again, right here in the app, you can select restroom. And if you're using the map, it's going to show you exactly where you are, exactly where that closest restroom is. And almost all of them have what is now considered a companion restroom. So, you know, single parent there with an opposite sex child. Maybe you need to help grandma who's in a wheelchair. You need something bigger than that handicap room. A lot of companion restrooms and super easy to find.
So what about things like, and I've known this because I know you do a lot of this, like I've traveled with a school group, right? So something like guest services is a thing that we need to know. That's something that can easily be found with this as well.
So the guest services is kind of the oddball of this app. It is an incredibly bizarre list of activities in my mind.
Yes.
It's everything from where can I find an AED, which I would hope, quite frankly, that if you need one, that there's a cast member nearby, they're going to find it quicker than you're going to find it on the app.
Right.
But maybe you feel better knowing where they all are. To where is the ATM? Where are the baby centers? As I said, where can I buy a cake in the park? One of my favorites that my family did for a very long time, where can I find the press penny machines? It's not going to give you a list of the actual pennies and quarters you can get, but it will send you to the machines so that you can go see it. Where can you find the disability services help? Where can you find first aid? And I will add to the note that one of the things that always surprises me about the park is their first aid centers are amazing. They are staffed with real registered nurses. They are run through Advent Health. They've got lots of options of things that they can help you with if you need really to take a break, take temperatures, deal with things. But they're also there if you just have a blister and need Band-Aid or, you know, Motrin or Tylenol. But they are only one first aid station per park. So sometimes you're quite a bit away from it.
Right.
Where you can rent lockers, where you can find the lost and found. Here's, again, everybody has different needs, but depending on your medical need, you can look on the map to find out where all of the magnetic fields exist. Again, I'm not suggesting that everybody needs all of these options.
No, not so much.
Among my other favorites in there, though, where they have their key picture spots. So there are spots on the map located where you can stand to get the best picture of you in front of the castle. Pro tip, it's not right in front of the castle.
Right.
And there are places like that throughout every park. The other thing in this map is where there are portable phone charging kiosks. They've really done a lot to add places that you can go and charge your cell phone. If you don't have a battery pack, you will need to have the phone cord with you. But again, you can find where you can do that. And again, listings here on which rides have services or sensitivities for those with light sensitivities, hearing disabilities, visual disabilities. So a lot more than the paper map can give you easily at your fingertips under that guest services tab.
So I kind of want to segue back to something you mentioned in the beginning, which is food was a big part of this app as well. I know that you and I have talked ad nauseum, both on air and off, about mobile order. So this is the mechanism by which you can make that happen.
It is, and I will admit, I am slow to embrace change. I was not a huge fan of mobile order when it came out. I'm still not always a fan of mobile order, being a picky eater. Look at mobile order options in advance. And again, if you're in your app, you're going to hit that plus sign right bottom center. And that second, it's going to give you a special pop-up menu. And the second bar is order food. You can be sitting at home anywhere you are. You can't get all the way through ordering your food, but you can actually look if you're trying to figure out budget or, which fast food your family might like best. You can go in and see the full menus. You can also see, if you're somebody like me that's pretty picky, that I often want to leave off the cheese or the tomato or whatever it is. I haven't figured out the rhyme or reason to which things on the app let you do it and which don't, but you can select any food and then see the options for add-on and taking food off. I really have come to like mobile order for the most part. I use it with my family. It's a great thing to occupy time while you're standing on a line. So it's now 11 o'clock. My family's going to ride Buzz Lightyear, and then we want to go have lunch at Cosmic Rays. There's a 30-minute wait for the ride. We're going to take some of that time online, and I'm going to have everybody order their lunch and get the order in. Because one of the things to know about mobile ordering, while it is great, they try not to overwhelm the kitchens. So if you wait till 12 o'clock to order your lunch and you need to eat between 12 and 12:15, odds are you're not going to get a mobile pickup time that soon. You might get 12:45 or 1. So place your orders in advance. They're not making your food till you press the I am here button, but that way you kind of get your time reserved.
So the other piece, and you mentioned you can kind of go through that even if you're not at the park, so you can see certain things. The other piece about food is that doesn't apply to that. It's very, very specific to geolocation, and that's the walk-up list.
I think it is among the best things that Disney has added for people in the parks. Maybe you didn't want to make sit-down dining reservations. Maybe you did a last-minute trip. You didn't have a travel agent, and Be Our Guest is the be-all and end-all for your family. If you go to Be Our Guest in the app, you'll see under it, it tells you what the estimated wait time is for a party our size. And you can hit join the walk-up list. It doesn't guarantee that 10-minute wait like it said or 20, but it gives you an idea. The only caveat, as you said, is you do need to be fairly close to be on the walk-up list. So you can't be at Magic Kingdom and put yourself on the Ohana walk-up list. However, you could look and see that maybe Ohana is not offering the walk-up list right now, so it's not worth heading over there. New restaurants don't do the walk-up list for the first month or two, and restaurants that are really booked to capacity and have had 0 cancellations won't have the walk-up list. But it's a great way, if you're a more go-with-the-flow person, to get in some wonderful dining more last minute.
All right, so we've covered a bunch of stuff. What more would you say that it can do that people really are looking for constantly? Something that most people that are traveling to Walt Disney World lean on?
So most are not looking for this, but should be.
Well, that's definitely true. But I know that you actually had an experience recently where somebody was looking for it, and you had to be the lovely cast member, in training, so to speak, that was able to provide it for them.
That is true. And I'll share the story with you, with the audience that I shared with you, because the app has so many menus and sub-menus that not all cast members know everything that's in there. So I was waiting for my car at the valet stand when a guest walked up to the person manning the valet desk and said, I know I was in the app yesterday and I was able to see the upcoming bus arrival schedule for this resort. And it has a screen that says, Magic Kingdom, 7 minutes, Epcot, 12 minutes. That's what time the next bus is pulling in. And the cast member said to her, well, that sounds like a great feature, but I have no idea. And so
Here comes Sandy.
I'm really sorry. I hate to eavesdrop, but if you'd like, I'm happy to show you. This is one of the few features that you actually cannot see at home. So once you are checked in, if you go to the bottom right-hand corner, hit those 3 buttons, you will have a little block that says My Resort. If you hit My Resort, you'll then see all your resort options. Everything from use the mobile key, which I'm not totally a fan of. It doesn't work very frequently, so don't make that your only source of a key. It'll give you all kinds of options about your resort, and the 4th button is buses. And so you can hit that button and see what the upcoming bus schedule is. And it is literally only a bus schedule. So if you're at a resort that uses the sky gondolas, those are constantly running. It's not going to tell you. If you are using boats, they are not GPS the same way. Getting over to Magic Kingdom or Epcot, you will not see those. This is strictly the bus schedule. And in the case of this woman, somebody says, well, why would you want to use it? You're either leaving for the park or you're not. I'm sure we can all think of the time that we thought we were leaving for the park and somebody left something in the room. And the decision is, do you run back? Maybe you miss the bus, maybe you don't. But if you look and you see that the bus is 12 minutes away versus 2 minutes away, you easily have time to go back and grab that item.
Okay, so we're running a little long in the tooth here tonight, but let's go over a couple more things because I think they're important. One of the things that I know has always been a staple of Walt Disney World vacationing is merchandise. And I know that there was always the ability to purchase something and have it be shipped to your room or have something like that, like for as long back as I've ever traveled there. So talk to us about how the merchandise checkout process works with the app.
Sadly, they are still not shipping to your room. I wish they were.
Right.
But again, if you hit that 3 lines in the bottom right-hand corner, along the left side, you'll see a big square that says merchandise checkout. You might do this at home in your local supermarkets where you kind of pick up their scanning gun when you go in, scan your groceries and throw them in your bag. It's the same thing. You're going to use that merchandise checkout, scan all of your own items. My grandfather will laugh and say, yes, they're getting all of your free labor. And then there is a merchandise checkout desk. I have never seen more than 3 people in there. You bring your stuff. You show them that you checked out, they'll give you a bag and you're good to go. Saves you a lot of time standing in line.
Okay, so there are a couple more things. The first thing I want to talk about is the photos, right? What about the pictures that are available, the types of filters and things like that?
So the filters that they can do, again, you're going to hit those 3 lines, scroll about halfway down. You don't even realize it's there if you don't keep scrolling. And you will see PhotoPass lenses. You can use many of those lenses even if you haven't purchased PhotoPass. There's a lot that you can play around with. And then there's also the photo gallery where you can see all of your own photos. They tend to come up pretty close to real time. Again, this is one of those features. If you want to see your pictures while you're on the trip, do it here. If you want to download them all and save them, definitely don't do it here. Switch over to your computer. It's much easier to download onto a hard drive than to download all of your photos into your camera roll.
Okay, so I know there's one last thing that we want to talk about tonight, and this is something that is near and dear to me, and I know it's something that you definitely have used. What else do we need to mention?
Again, hit those 3 lines in the right-hand corner, scroll all the way down to the bottom. And the button is called Cast Compliments. And it is an opportunity for you to share information about a great interaction that you had. It asks whether you want to acknowledge a cast member for making your day special, sharing a great recommendation, going out of their way to make you an unforgettable day. Then it's going to ask you what park or location you met them in. And it's going to be in all the parks, Disney Springs, water parks. If you can remember their first name, great. It also asks if you remember their hometown on their name tag, because there might be 2 people named Susan that work in the Magic Kingdom, believe it or not.
Sure.
And then the date of the interaction and what it was. These cast compliments mean a lot to the cast members. They personally, you'll get to enter what they did that made it so special for you. They and their leadership team love reading these, but this is kind of like bonus points. This is one of the deciding factors when they're looking at advancing people into roles like trainer or higher roles. How is their guest interaction and guest satisfaction? So somebody made your day, make theirs all at no cost by giving them that shout out with cast compliment.
And it's something that we've definitely used as our family. I can't recommend it enough. It's one of those things that's so easy for you to pay forward the experience. They've made it really simple with the app. You know, I don't compliment the technology all that often. This one is a home run for me.
I love it. And there are so many worthy cast members out there.
I totally agree. Well, Sandy, you know that this is a big part of everybody's vacation. I know that you answer questions about it all the time. It's one of the things I get asked the most about. I appreciate you taking the time this week to break it down. I hope it was helpful for our listeners. I think it was pretty easy to follow. I encourage everybody to go back and go through your app as we talk about it in the show. And have a great week, Sandy.
Thanks. You as well.
That's a wrap this week on Let's Talk Diz. If anyone you know could benefit from this or any show, please share on your Facebook and Instagram for other Disney fans to enjoy. And don't forget to reach out to the folks at Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services for any Disney destination planning. Make it a great week. And as always, keep making memories.